Thank you for auditing the always positive new music review show hosted by a French professor who's going to be reviewing a concert that I saw 2 days ago. The concert was 2 days ago because 50 years and 2 days ago is the official birth of hip-hop culture and rap music. 1520 Cedric Avenue in the Bronx, Cindy Campbell and her brother DJ Kool Herc throw a back-to-school jam that is cited as the beginning. Maybe not of rap music, but definitely of hip-hop culture. So that's what this was. This was Hip Hop 50. So many acts. I'm going to be talking about all the acts that I saw, all the acts that I didn't see. I'm going to talk about it, but the funny thing is I almost didn't even make it to the show. I mean, I really should go given my passion for rap music and hip-hop history. But it's like, I live in Western New York and I've been traveling a lot this summer. It's like a 5-hour drive that turns into a 6.5-hour drive with traffic. But fortunately, or unfortunately for my kids, they're returning from Korea, so I had to pick them up at JFK. So I needed to be there the next morning anyways. So I drove on down. I stayed with my friend in Queens, 6.5-hour drive, hang out for 15 minutes, then get in the Uber to go from Queens to the Bronx, which should have been a half-hour ride, ended up being an hour and a half in the traffic. I'm sitting there, and it was chaotic. It was a very chaotic show to get into. There's a long line to get in there. I'm processing all these feelings. I'm from Boston, so I'd never been to old Yankee Stadium, the house that Ruth built. I've never been to new Yankee Stadium, the house that A-Rod built. I'm sitting there. I'm in the enemy's den, but still, it's interesting, and I'm looking around. I'm starting to get a feel for the vibe. I missed the beginning of the show, which is the biggest bummer, so I must have missed Manny Fresh, Marley Marl, which really hurts, Roxanne Shante, Curtis Blow, a lot of people who I really appreciate and wanted to see, but it didn't really matter because the show was so unexpectedly good. It delivered on the concept of a gigantic hip-hop show so well that whatever I missed is inconsequential. And as you will watch in this video, I missed something shockingly important. You will stay tuned to the end of this video to see what your dunder-headed professor missed. Okay? Damn, I'm an idiot. I am an idiot, in case you ever wondered it. But the good of the show. Now, the show does stream online, so you can go to Mass Appeal's channel on youtube.com, and you can watch it. 8 hours, okay? And you'll get a lot of what made it so special just in terms of numbers and history, because what we have is more than half of the most important rap acts in the history of rap music and hip-hop culture all performing on the same day. One ticket, okay? You're sitting there. And, this never happened in rock and roll. There wasn't like some concert in 1999 that had the Beatles and Elvis at the same time performing with Chuck Berry. That's what this was. And Pearl Jam, let's just throw them in there too, okay? That's what this ended up being. And this meant in specific that if you're a historian of rap, as I am, I got to see so many iconic verses performed by the people who wrote them and performed them first. From Rapper's Delight to Made You Look, I got to hear it and see it, and it really had that kind of strong impact. But that's like a third of what made it such a great show, okay? You won't really get it, and I would not believe me. I'm about to describe the atmosphere of the show, and if I were watching, I would call BS. I would say, BS, Professor Sky, I don't believe you. This is hyperbole. Were you high? I wasn't high, okay? The thing that I could not have predicted was the vibe, was the atmosphere. I was expecting some corpo, weird, fake nostalgia, just garbage. But what I got was something I could not have predicted. What I got, and it is going to sound pretentious, but was a real hip-hop moment. I need to talk about race. People don't like it when I talk about race, but I do, because it's important. It's an important aspect of what I do. When you talk about music that is created by and for other cultures, you need to acknowledge when you are not of that culture. That goes for when I'm talking about Serbian musicians or French musicians as much as it does for rap artists, okay? Rap is an African-American art. It is, I believe, hip-hop to be the most important cultural movement in the history of humanity. I've made a video about that. I'll link it at the end. And it was created in the 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000s, 2010s, and currently 2020s, primarily by African Americans. And the thing is, there's this myth that its consumers are mostly white. Now, it's a myth and it's true. Let me explain how. By percentage, it is not true that more white people listen to rap music than black people. But by pure numbers, by the fact that we are a statistical majority, the actual numbers of white fans of hip-hop dwarfs the number of African American, black fans, whatever, Hispanic fans, any other fans of hip-hop that could possibly exist. So what that means is that when you go to a rap show, there's a weird thing that happens where you're going and you are appreciating something that comes from African American culture, but you are necessarily, not a part of that culture. I mean, I suppose one could be, but, let me give you a perfect metaphor I came up with. I was just in Paris. If you've ever been to Paris in August, there's like one thing you're not really going to see, which is French people. Okay, when you are in Paris in August, you are in a sea of Americans and Brits and Italians and Chinese and Japanese and everybody in the world is in Paris and they're all speaking English, and you feel kind of weird. I feel weird. As a language instructor, I try to speak French as much as I can, but I feel weird. I feel like I'm a part of an invading force, a colonial force in the middle of this city. That's how I usually feel when I go to a rap show. That it's like, hello, fellow rap fans, and they're all dudes that look like me, or variations of me, looking at people performing who don't. All right? So there's a kind of weird dissonance there. And I'm not saying it's good or bad. I mean, it's good, right? It is good that rap artists, any artist can make a living. And if they have to make a living because dudes like me go to their concerts or buy their albums, then great, right? But this show, Hip Hop 50, was not that at all. I was completely outnumbered. 8 to 2, I would say. I'd say 80 to 90%. Seriously, 80 to 90% of the people who were there were, not only was it mostly a black audience, which I have never seen at any rap show ever, but they were mostly from the effing Bronx. When they did the thing, right? Basically every 10 minutes, someone says, "Is Manhattan in the house? Is Queens in the house? Is Staten Island in the house? Yay. Is New Jersey in the house? Boo." But then when they said, "Is the Bronx in the house?" the whole place went up. So what did this show end up feeling like to me? Well, let me tell you, 50 years and 2 days ago, 50 years from the day before the concert, the first hip-hop show was thrown. And up until at least 1979 and probably 1982, hip-hop remained a largely local phenomena to the Bronx, some parts of Queens, some parts of Harlem, but primarily to the Bronx, where the African American and largely forgotten Hispanic population could go and party and forget their troubles and create culture that would eventually come to dominate the entire world through its brilliance, innovation, and accessibility. Oh my God, the weather just changed. I apologize for the lighting change. That's what hip-hop was in 1973. And here I am in 2023 at Yankee Stadium, and I actually felt like I was in the Bronx in the 70s. Now, hey, feel free to leave all kinds of hateful comments because that is one of the most whack things I've ever said. But it is just true. I'm going to show you what it feels like. So I'm a collector, and this is my favorite thing in my music collection. This is an actual flyer from a party that was thrown in 1981. The Sly and the Family Stone, James Brown disco tribute. This was before they called hip-hop shows hip-hop shows. They still largely called them disco shows, okay? So this is an actual flyer that was put up. And this is what the show felt like, because you had all these names, and you're like, how the hell is this going to be a good show? So you have Africa Bambaataa, you have the Funky Four, Grand Wizard Theodore, who invented scratching, Grandmaster Flash, who invented looping for basic part. Cool DJ Herc basically created the whole thing. Lovebug Starsky, the Essential MC, Cold Crush Brothers, Disco Twins down there. You got Sugar Hill Gang. You got Curtis Blow. You just have this whole explosion of names and artists and creators. And you see it was at the T Connection Disco and the Bronx River Center, all in the Bronx. As cheesy as it is, that was actually the vibe of the show. It felt like a block party. And the funny thing was, like, sometimes it's nice to feel out of place. Because in a way, it was sort of like a folk festival. If you've ever been to a folk festival, folk festivals aren't usually made for tourists. They're made for the people from which the culture comes from. And they might be wearing special gear or listening to special music or doing special rituals. But if you've ever been to someone else's folk festival, it's an amazing time because you see this sort of thing that human beings create. And the feeling that I had twice, 2 separate times, 2 women walked up to me and my friend and literally just said, "Hey, what are you guys doing here?" Like we were just walking into the Uzbeki street fair, you know? Just like, oh, I don't know, just wanted to see what was going on. You know, I had to explain, well, I really hope to see Marley Marl, and Lil Wayne's pretty amazing. You know, like, we're talking Lil Wayne, Nas, Run DMC. We're talking like major platinum artists, some of the biggest artists of the past 50 years. And yet, at the point, it was just sort of like this sort of curiosity that there are these kind of like, you know, and I was expecting the whole show to be filled with dudes like me, like middle-aged dudes like me, who are like, oh, I love the fat boys growing up, you know? And that was the feeling. It was almost like when you go to a new church. If you've ever been to a new church, there comes a certain point where people see you there, they want to welcome you in, they want to get you into the flock, and like you get all this weird sort of attention, like, oh, geez, where are you from? Interesting, you have a family, Sunday school, men's group, you know, they just kind of just fly at you. It felt like that. It felt like a block party. It felt like a church. It felt like an honest-to-God appreciation of this art. Despite the fact that we live in 2023 and we're up to our necks in corpo BS, it actually felt like a celebration of hip-hop. Before I tell you some of the bad things about it, I need to introduce to you some of the dramatis personae, some of the people who are at the show. I've already introduced you to the 2 nice strangers who came up and talked to us. But there are other characters around me that I think are important to sort of give you the flavor of the show. Number 1, with an absolute bullet, is Daryl Strawberry. Not the actual baseball player for the New York Mets, who beat the Red Sox in 1986. I'll never forgive him, but that's okay. There's a guy wearing a Mets hat and a Daryl Strawberry jersey. And if you don't know anything about like sort of American baseball, like showing up in Yankee Stadium with a Mets jersey, sort of showing like I'm about Queens, I'm not about Bronx, I'm about Mets, I'm not about the Yankees. But he was there for the entire 7 hours. He was basically drunk off his ass the entire time, and he is a very important character for you to appreciate the show with me. There's another guy who I just call Old Head, who was like maybe 5 rows ahead of us, and he was wearing a t-shirt that was like one of these flyers, and he had a Kangol on, and he was just... The thing is, I've never seen this many men dancing at a concert. And like, I'm not talking dancing like, you know, doing the baseball bat and the Roger Rabbit. I just mean like, I can't help but move. Weirdly enough, it reminded me more of a Grateful Dead show than it did a rap show, because it had this communal feeling that we're all bathing in this love of this culture, and just seeing so many middle-aged dudes just, you know, and when I'm saying dancing, like they're not doing dance moves. They're just incapable of not moving. Myself included. So we have Daryl Strawberry, we have Old Head, we have the very kind couple who are right next to us, just a couple of just totally happy, just being together, appreciating the music, very, very friendly with me, who are eventually replaced by Drunk Couple, which is a different couple, and the woman... It's just very unpleasant. She would just like walk up right to you and just be like, I was all that, you know? And then she'd expect an answer. You'd just be like, I don't know. Fortunately, nice couple came back and replaced them. And then the most mysterious of all, tweaking hipsters. Right ahead of us, there was some of my fellow melanin challenged folks. Like he had like a trucker hat had like a little thin mustache and like clear like light sunglasses, and he was with a woman who had like the full angel wings tattoos, and they were just tweaking. I don't know what they were tweaking on. I don't know if it was E, I don't know if it was X, I don't know if it was whatever letter of the alphabet it was. They were just tweaking their asses off, but they were having a great time. And so that's the dramatis personae that we're going to have here. Now, as far as the bad parts of the show, considering the fact that I thought the whole thing was going to completely suck, my complaints are minor. The number one is it was just too much. As you will see, this led to me missing some of the show that I didn't want to miss. But the show was supposed to go from 6 until 10. I left at 1. I think the show ended at 2. Spoiler for some of the dark parts of this, this video later. And the other problem is that because it had to be so dense, a lot of the songs were just snippets of a song and then the DJ just pressing the crashing button, which just made it feel a little bit jolted. You know, like I wanted more full songs. The definitely worst part is that because everyone had such little time, they had to play their hits. And because of the way radio programming works, most of the hits are the radio-friendly songs, which are usually the songs I like the least, which usually are more reliant on kind of R&B singing hooks. So, like, I would see a lot of my favorite acts performing, like, as we'll see, Ghostface Killah, but not, you know, he's not playing both hands clusty, you know, he's doing sort of his more crossover hits. It was a little bit repetitive in terms of like, it's the 50th birthday, it's the 50th birthday, it's Queen's in the house, Queen's is in the house, it's Queen's in the house, Queen's is in the house, are the ladies in the house, the ladies are in the house, are the fellas in the house, the fellas are in the house, is the Bronx in the house, a little bit repetitive like that. And the other thing, so Hot 97 was there. I love Hot 97. I listen to Hot 97 whenever I go to New York City, whenever I'm 50 miles from it. It's a super important radio. One of my favorite moments in music history is when that song, Boogadoo, 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 by Mobb Deep came out. Is it called Quiet Storm? The one little kid. Anyways, when that song came out, I was driving into New York City, and I swear to God, they played it back to back, and then they played 2 songs, and then they played it again, which is how you want to hear that song. The real hip-hop. But there was a little bit of an erasure of WBLS, which Hot 97 acted like they were the first. WBLS just deserves respect in the New York the New York radio scene. There's Mr. Magic. Anyways, that's my little nerdy thing. Of course, the bummer is that it's in Yankee Stadium, but what am I supposed to do? Hey, I may be from Boston. I may hate the New York Yankees, but I have to admit that Bronx, by virtue of rap music, has contributed more than any other part of the world to world culture. Bronx is amazing. It's an amazing place that created something absolutely amazing. But it was this weird situation where most of the rappers were wearing Yankees gear, so I'm sitting there in Yankee Stadium clapping for people wearing Yankees gear. There you go. So many awesome, I gave you the dramatis personae, but there are other people. Basically, the other reason that it felt like a folk festival is that everybody knew every word to like every song, and some of the more obscure songs as well. Just all these just kind, happy, middle-aged folks hanging out, some young people. The whole vibe felt like a party. Like it never felt... Every concert I've ever been to, there's a point where the drunkenness gets a little bit high and you can feel a little bit of tension brewing. There was no tension at all. And people bumped into me and I bumped into them and people were drinking and partying and having fun. It never ever took that little turn. So I'm going to go through the acts, act by act. Before I do, I ask you to please smash the like button, okay? Subscribe if you haven't. You could ring the bell if you want to get my funny fake titles before I take them down. If you want to get a guaranteed comment, a guaranteed heart on your comment, be sure to include the letters AVAA in your comment. You can even just say AVAA. Awesome video as always. That's a little trick that I have. I'm trying to rebuild my channel after taking a break for 3 weeks. The algorithm kitty is very pissed at me, is still on top of the refrigerator staring at me, refusing to let me pat it. So if you'll help me pat the algo kitty, I would appreciate that. Okay, so I get into the show late, right? It's like half an hour late. I walk into Grandmaster Caz, Casanova Fly, absolute giant of early hip-hop, okay? We're talking one of Cold Crush Brothers. They're back there somewhere, okay? But the show is just very confusing because I walk in and it's not like I know what Grandmaster Caz looks like. I know what Curtis Blow looks like. I've seen a lot of interviews with him. I know what Kool Herc looks like, but like a lot of these guys. So it's like I can't figure out if it's like all the Cold Crush brothers, some of them, and then things get more confusing because they invite out some of the treacherous 3. And I'm like, oh, okay. So is this like the 8? Is this the? If they throw on the funky 4+1, I'm going to be out. I don't have the math skills to keep up with all the stuff that's happening. And then as I walk in, Kool Mo D is brought out to the stage. And this is very exciting to me. I have back there. Just to prove a point. Just to prove a point. I have 2 Kool Mo D tapes back there, okay? 2. I got this, So, Kool Mo D. Super excited. This is one of the bummers of the show. Some of these guys are just old, man. It's tough getting old. So some of them look like, oh, wow, they're holding up really well. And some of them like are carrying canes, not the Big Daddy kind, like just the standard walking canes. And Kool Mo D just looked like, he looked fine, but he was just sort of still and monumental and weird. He looked almost like a sculpture. They did a song together, apparently a couple years ago. I had to look it up to find out, Over the Otis Beat from Jay-Z and Kanye, which is like a fine song, but it was just very kind of chaotic. I wished that I had more Kool Mo D, but I guess he's not feeling well. This was the point where in my notes I just wrote who organized this. You'd think that with an event like this, whoever it is that's sponsoring it would be everywhere, but it was just Hip Hop 50. And you see it back there, that's a t-shirt right there. That's a t-shirt from the event, Hip Hop 50. That's what it's called. It's not called Google Pixel Presents Hip Hop 50. It's not called Adidas and Ciroc Presents Hip Hop 50. It's just called that. I don't know if it's because it was primarily produced by Mass Appeal, which is like Nas's label, or I don't know what Nas's relationship is with it, but there's some connection there. You can tell me in the comments if you want. But the lack of like branding was really refreshing here. Then the show kind of really gets started for me with Melly Mel coming out, or Grandmaster Melly Mel, as he liked to be called, but Grandmaster Flash refused to call him. Now we get some more real high energy. He goes right into Apache. If you ever want to make me happy, just play the Apache break, and I will be ding, 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 boom. I will just, you cannot be unhappy hearing the Apache break. And then the first sort of iconic verse comes out. I got to see Melly Mel perform his verse off the message. The only verse not written by Duke Booty, the only part of the song not written by Duke Booty. Don't forget, Grandmaster Flash had nothing to do with the message. So don't ever give him credit for it. Give Grandmaster Flash a ton of credit for like so much else, but not that one thing. Getting to see The Child Is Born in no state of mind, blind to the ways of mankind. Getting to see that verse, it really was special. I said that a lot of the rappers look old. Melly Mel, I think if Melly Mel got into a fight with like John Bone Jones, like Melly Mel would win. Like Melly Mel is like so jacked. It's absolutely wild. Seeing him perform White Lines was really fun as well. It's funny because I went with my friend Yehuda, who puts me up when I go to New York. So I'm like, hey, you want to go to the show? So he's not like super into hip hop history. He likes it, but like that's not his thing. And so I had fun telling him the story about White Lines, the great anti-cocaine song where they're all keyed up on coke the whole time when they recorded it. And then things get weird again because there's like, they start playing Rapper's Delight, but like Melly Mel is still on the stage. So I don't know, like, is Grandmaster Caz, like, is he going to do his verse that Big Bank Hank stole from him back in the day? I don't know, but as far as iconic verses go, of the 15 verses of Rapper's Delight, I think I heard about 4 of them there, and that was very fun. They gave a big shout out to Sylvia Robinson. Dougie Fresh comes out. It gets a little bit weird here, kind of a down point. This was the point where the first nice lady just walked up and started talking to us about where are we from and why are we there. And then Slick Rick comes out. And he's a great combination of Kool Mo D and Melly Mel in terms of he comes out and I'm kind of like, oh man, time has not been kind to Slick. It's tough. He's having trouble with the words. He's got a cool, huge chain and watches and all that. But as time goes on, he gets more animated and more with it. And this is like one of my favorite moments because like I'm there and Daryl Strawberry the whole time is just jamming and jamming and jamming and jamming and drinking and jamming and drinking and drinking and jamming and jamming. And he's just screaming out every lyric to Mona Lisa. And Old Heads is screaming out every lyric to Mona Lisa, you know? And then the children's story comes on. Talk about iconic verses. For some reason they played it too fast, but still, now I'm screaming all the verses. And Strawberry's screaming all the verses. Old Head's screaming all the verses. Like 5 different people are sitting there. We're all just sitting out there, you know, just by the end, just knock him out the box, Rick! Knock him out! Oh my God. Oh, there's another guy, Daryl Strawberry's best friend, who's some guy who he'd never met before, who was like 8 seats down. He just constantly pointing him. They're all just knocking him out of the box, Rick. Just bathing in this great hip-hop love. But then they didn't play Lottie Dottie. Why, if Dougie Fresh is on stage and Slick Rick is on stage, are they not performing Lottie Dottie? I got afraid. I got afraid that maybe I'm not going to hear Lottie Dottie. Even though I don't like to party, and I do hurt somebody, I really wanted to hear the song. And I didn't know what was going on. I thought maybe an act later on, but let's see. Then Coco Rock comes out. Coco Rock. You might not know who he is. It's okay. It's okay. Maybe you didn't take my hip-hop class. That's fine. So Coco Rock is technically the first MC. I mean, there's 2 people who make a claim to be the first MC and who have a reasonable but different claim to be an MC. Coco Rock was there with DJ Kool Herc when DJ Kool Herc was figuring out how to put breaks together to make the basis of rap music by linking together drum breaks, which people could dance over. And then Coco Rock was the first guy who had the microphone and would start talking over it and would start connecting rhymes. If you ever see an interview with him, he does the same rhymes every single time. Hotel, motel, no-tell. He does this whole thing. He did the whole thing. But I'm going to count that as one of the great iconic verses because arguably it was the first rap verse ever from the mid-70s. This then leads to DJ Kool Herc and Cindy Campbell coming out. This was the biggest disappointment for me. I didn't know that the physical state of DJ Kool Herc, so he's just very old, and he's just old. He doesn't look sick or anything. He just looks old. So I was really hoping he was going to do a set. I was really hoping to hear him play the Apache break or the Mexican break. He gives like sort of a speech. I can't quite pick it up. I guess I'll watch it on YouTube. He talks about Martin Luther King and James Brown. 2 pretty cool people. His sister comes out and starts talking about Mother Africa. Which was interesting, just to sort of like, you know, so it's nice, but I would have just, if I could have heard him play the Apache break, then that would have had that feeling of 50 years later. But still, you know, we are a 10-minute drive, a half-hour walk from the actual birth site of hip-hop, where he actually made the music. We actually put the party together that actually got the whole thing started, and now we're in Yankee Stadium, and it's wonderful. But you might be wondering, those of you who are thinking about that sheet back there, there are 3 fathers of hip hop, really, if you look about it. If you look at it, and this is the only one that's here. So this is the other bummer of the whole show. When Google credited DJ Kool Herc as like the father of hip hop, Grandmaster Flash made an amazing rebuttal video where he explained that really he deserves that title, essentially. Like, he's like, I'll give you your credit. I'm going to let you finish, but really it should be me. I'm not here to weigh in on that debate. I think the pairing of them is what made hip hop. You know, DJ Kool Herc figuring out how to extend drum breaks with his amazing sound system influenced by his childhood in Jamaica. Everything in hip hop fundamentally goes back to the Caribbean. Don't forget that. But still, you know, like, and then Grandmaster Flash was a little more analytical, figure out how to do it in a better way. So I think Grandmaster Flash wasn't there because of that. Sort of like, if he's there, I'm not going to be there. That's my prediction. But then Africa Bambaataa, sadly, even though he was a huge force in helping to shift the Bronx culture away from gangs and towards hip-hop, even though his ability to find records is sort of what all DJs are trying to figure out how to do now, how to find the best samples. Innovative, founded the Zulu Nation, peace, love, unity, and having fun. This whole show felt like peace, love, unity, and having fun. It felt like a Zulu party. Sadly, there are multiple credible accusations of sexual assault of a minor on Africa Bambaataa, so I suppose that's why he's not there. But still, had that nice little surprise with Coco Rock. We got Coco Rock, we got DJ Herc. We still have some of the greats of the 70s. In case you don't know, the basic points of hip-hop breaking out, 79, a bunch of nobodies out of New Jersey released Rapper's Delight. That's the first sort of rap song that's known. Then 1982, The Message is released, and that's what sort of solidifies as the second rap hit. That's really what's going to end up making it into the global phenomenon that we have now. So anybody who's sort of before 79 has kind of a special place. People like Grandmaster Caz, people like Kool Moe Dee, people like Bambaataa and Grandmaster Flash. And those are the people who obviously are passing now and who we have to sort of cherish. Then there's a set by DJ Drama, which was weird and fell out of nowhere. It was okay. Then Lupe Fiasco comes on. Now, if you know this channel, you know I love Lupe Fiasco. But it's a little bit out of place because, like, I think what they're trying to do is show the breadth of rap music. And so he was sort of there to represent sort of modern underground rap or conscious rap, and Common also came on after and sort of the same. But in the end, like, the whole thing was so much about like just recognizable hits and super recognizable verses that like I cannot wait to see a Lupe Fiasco show. You know what I mean? Like I bet a Lupe Fiasco show is absolutely amazing. But I think I want to see a Lupe Fiasco show, not Lupe Fiasco at this thing. Even though it was great to see him. But it sounds like I'm insulting him, but it's actually a comment. A compliment. And then comes EPMD. You know, I get it. You might not know EPMD. There's, of all the sort of old school rap guys, I think they get the least credit. I think that they deserve so much more credit than they get as rappers and producers. I mean, in my mind, EPMD and Mobb Deep are just like these two beautiful duos of rap artists at the top of the game, helping to shape the art, who are able to rap and able to produce and able to do all of it at once while being just this powerful duo. And so EPMD, I'm just... It's just me and Daryl Strawberry, and we're just shouting out the lyrics, and we're just having this amazing time. I'm not shouting out the lyrics, because I don't want to be one of those guys. But Daryl Strawberry, he's had a few more beers than I have. A few 10 more beers than I have. So he's absolutely jamming out. We're just, you know, like looking at each other like, EPMD's in the house. It's just great. Then we get to the sort of ladies section, which is a little bit weird. Felt a little bit forced. Remy Ma was good energy, you know, that was good. Trina came up. She had way too much time. I mean, I guess she has hits, but like, she got like as much time as almost anybody. Lila Brooke came up. I don't know who they are. At this point, what was really nice about this whole section is Lil Kim comes up, and the nice couple next to me, they're just really grooving out. And after Lil Kim, the woman of the couple offers to buy me and Yehuda a drink. Like, when does that ever happen? Seriously, when do people offer to buy you drinks at a venue? Strangers. I'm telling you, this was church. It was nuts. It was nuts. We didn't take her up on it because, you know, I don't want someone else to pay $10 for my drink. But the fact that she offered was really sweet. Lil Kim was surprisingly good, even though sort of by the end she was only rapping every 10th word. It was nice. I don't know if she really had... Well, no, she did her verse from the Mobb Deep song, so that was, I guess, another iconic verse. And just hearing her say the line, "I used to be scared of the dick," just great. Lil Siege comes out, that was cool, and like, I guess Puffy's kid came out. And then Eve was on the poster but didn't actually perform. And for that, I want to just remind you that I'm pretty sure of all, like, so the way these shows used to work is these are the people who would perform and then special invited guests. As far as I can tell, 0 to all of them perform. So like they might be invited, but whether or not they actually performed, I don't know. So maybe that was that. That's okay. I saw Eve perform at the Rough Riders and Hot Boy show back in 2000. And then T.I. comes on. This is part of the cool thing about the show is they're trying to really have it not just be the Bronx, not just be New York, not just be East Coast, not just be 70s, not just be 80s, not just be 90s. They try to sort of expand it. And T.I. comes out and just has great high energy. And this is where the tweaking hipster couple just loses it. The tweaking hipster couple just loved this. Really, really, really just every single word, and they can dancing and they're vaping and they're vaping and they're vaping some more. They're just vaping, just chain vaping. Is that a term? Ugh. Ugh. Between all the weed and the vaping, my clothes smell weird. Anyways. And then Havoc came out. And this is another weird thing. Just a lot of people are dead, right? It's very sad. Hip-hop has a high attrition rate for many, mostly societally bummer reasons. But he's playing, like, Mobb Deep songs. So it was funny because, Shook One's Part 2 comes on and obviously iconic verse, but Havoc is performing them. So You All Alone in These Streets, Cousin, is one of my favorite rap lyrics of all time. Just that line. Like, the amount of times I've said that in my life whenever I feel like I've been abandoned by people or like I'm like trying to do something. You All Alone in These Streets, Cousin. But to hear Havoc delivering it, I just felt kind of weird. And this is where Daryl Strawberry scared the hell out of me. He just, bam, he just like grabbed onto my shoulder, and Yehuda's shoulder. He's just like, you gotta get up. And I was like, and I didn't really have the time to explain to him that I had emotionally mixed feelings about celebrating a song when the person who's supposed to be rapping is dead. I felt kind of weird. Then Cameron came on, and hey, I missed Cameron. Whatever Cameron is, please tell me in the comments what is the essential Cameron album. I was asleep when he was big. I don't know what happened. I thought he was a joke. But he was great. Then we get to Ghostface Killah. Have you heard all the names I've given you here? Okay, just now, just Melly Mel and Ghostface, just and EPMD. He comes out rocking a Red Sox hat. Have to respect that. And after doing like one or two songs, he then goes in to Protect Your Neck. And Inspect the Deck comes out. Oh, you want to talk about iconic verses. Now, I've seen Wu-Tang before in concert. But, in this context, I smoke on the mic like Smoking Joe Frazier, the Hellraiser. Just like... And then Method Man comes out. And the thing about Method Man, he is not my favorite. He's probably not in my top 5 favorite Wu-Tang members. But if you want to see somebody perform, you want to see Meth. Because he knows how to perform. He's got that charisma, He just... And, like, Ghost and Meth together... Even the try-hard DJ from Hot 97 just said, like, is it the 90s? They have such easy chemistry together. It is just really exciting. They played the soundtrack to the song Cheers. I didn't get the reference. So tell me in the comments. I must be an idiot. There must be some Ghostface thing where Sky, you dunderhead, how did you not know that this was... I couldn't figure it out. They also played, like, Old Dirty Bastard, the song Raw, which, like, just how does that fit into anything? And this is where we get to that problem of the crossover hits. So, like, Ghostface, they play Ice Cream Man, which I know is, like, a fairly big hit. I don't like Ice Cream Man. I always find the line... all up in your guts as just like an unpleasant thing to hear. Like, it's just, all up in your guts. Like, great beat, amazing beat, like underrated beat, but overrated song. And that's just an example. But still, surprise of surprise, you think maybe Raekwon's going to come out instead. Capadonna comes out. Capadonna has probably my favorite Wu-Tang verse on Winter Wars. Ain't got to worry. Just, oh my God. Like, that's like, yeah, that is. That is my favorite verse on any Wu-Tang project. So, be shocked. There it is. But he didn't do that. But it was nice seeing Capadonna. Last time I saw Capadonna, Wu-Tang Clan played in Rochester, and he was literally selling tickets to people in line trying to buy tickets, trying to cut out the venue of money. So hopefully things are going better for Capadonna. The Pillage is a criminally underrated Wu-Tang project. I think that's a top 10 Wu-Tang project. So there you go. Then we get to the section where they just talk about the Bronx. So Kid Capri comes out. actual DJing. I wish there was more DJing. This is the other problem with the shows. They would have DJ sets in between shows, but it wasn't actual DJing. It was just like playing a stupid popular song for like 30 seconds and then cutting to another stupid popular song for 30 seconds. And it's like, y'all gonna make me lose my mind up in here, up in here. I love it when you call me Big Papa. When I was young, me and my mama had beef. Just, oh, yeah. So this was an actual DJ. And then the biggest surprise. I've never reviewed A Boogie with the Hoodie. I don't know who he is. I've listened to his music for like 30 seconds at a time. Like, hey, should I review this new A Boogie with the Hoodie thing? And I go, no, I should not. This is garbage. I think I was wrong because he was just awesome. He was really good. And also like a young guy. He's like a young, relevant guy, right? Like young people listen to his music. The dancer, like there were dancers throughout, but these were like dancers, like, you know, professional dancers. And he was just like really on. He was just really happy. Like the whole show had this just very happy vibe. And he was like some of the happiest. The weirdest moment in the whole show is in the middle of the thing, some guy comes out and gives him a plaque, a proclamation from the Bronx. And I don't know what the proclamation said because it's not a standard thing to be given a proclamation by a borough of a city. So it's a weird moment. And they did the same thing for DJ Kool Herc where they gave him some kind of plaque thing, but it was all just kind of janky and weird. Fat Joe comes out, and that was really nice because, you know, there's a large population of the people who are there, who are Puerto Rican, and just their reaction. And again, the marginalization of Hispanic voices in early hip-hop, and actually all of hip-hop, is an interesting thing to study. If you want to read some books, I can give you some recommendations. But anyway, so having him there, like, he has a lot of hits. I didn't realize how many hits he had. You know, like, lean back, you know, that's kind of, I'm not going to call that an iconic verse, but that was really fun. One of the main issues that happened throughout the whole show is there were basically like studio backup rappers. Like whenever somebody couldn't deliver every line, there'd just be some other guy behind them. And maybe they're people, like known people, but if they're sort of like second or third tier rappers who would just like come out and who weren't the original people. So that had kind of a weird vibe, some of that there. Also a surprise, a real surprise. Lord Tariq, Peter Guns, their song Deja Vu, one of the great one-hit wonders in rap history. Boing, boom, boom, boom. Boing, boom, boom, boom. Just a really great song. It was very fun to see it live. And I'm on a mission. Please help me. So they did remixes of this song. Because the song like talks about all the boroughs of New York. And it's all about how great the Bronx is. Which is cool, you know, seeing that in Yankee Stadium. But they did remixes. And Jammin' 94.5, which is the Hot 97 of Boston, which is to say smaller and less good and just trying to be New York. Sorry, Bostonians. Let's be realistic. They did a remix for Jammin' 94.5 where instead of shouting out New York places, they shout out Boston places. And I've looked online. You can't find it. You cannot find it anywhere. And I remember it because it was just so goofy. It was like, Brockton, crazy actin'. People go to Hingham and get lost in Malden. It was all, it's like really oddly done and just like thrown. And just my buddy Brad and I just always laughed. We just throw around different places in Massachusetts. And man, anyways, so if you can help me find it, you find that. And then, okay, surprises. There's so many surprises to this show, which makes sense because we're in New York and it's this fun thing. Somebody who's not on that list. And when you're thinking about the Bronx and you're thinking about 50 years of hip hop, where the hell is Boogie Down Productions on there? Where the hell? Okay, this is still here for my Nas video. Where the hell is KRS-One? Well, he comes out here in this Bronx section, plays South Bronx, and the bridge is over. And, you know, I have some issues with KRS-One because I think he's super preachy and it gets a little bit annoying. But I still love his music. I still love his voice, and he still got it. And it's also very funny because like the whole thing's put on by Mass Appeal, which is Nas, and the whole thing is highlighted as a show about, like that's going to have the final performance of Run DMC. So it's kind of funny to have like this like down with Queens is lame, when the whole thing is kind of put on by Queens folks. There you go. Clark Kent, who's like a great DJ, comes up and just does an R.I.P. set, and I just, god damn it, I hate it. I hate it. It's just, so long and lame and stupid. I do want to give the crowd credit for knowing every single lyric to the UGK thing. Hey, East Coast rap has come a long way. East Coast rap fans have learned to embrace other regions. Speaking of embracing other regions, Lil Wayne. Dude, did I say Lil Wayne? This show is nuts, okay? Lil Wayne performed. I saw Lil Wayne perform when he was actually Lil, when he was just a member of the Hot Boys back in 2000. This is my second time seeing him. He has really evolved. First of all, he has a real drummer who's on stage, which is great. He has a real DJ. And he's just so happy and so smiling. And just, he did that, the Swizz Beatz song from the album a couple albums ago. Where the Love Go. Just so much energy. Just so, he's like, a lot of the rappers do every third line. He does every single line. He's performing, and he's just... I was shocked. I was shocked at how good Lil Wayne was. And then just seeing him perform a Melly, talk about an iconic verse. Oh, my God. It was just great. He was just so on. And the whole time he's like shouting out the security guards and the people there. And he's like just really just thankful. He's really contributing to this church-like vibe that we have in the cathedral that A-Rod built. Which, okay, I got to admit, new Yankee Stadium is awesome. So I hate the Yankees, but it really is a very tasteful stadium. So good job, Yankees. I guess I can say that because they're like 100 games under 500. Now, this was interesting here because Daryl Strawberry and we do not agree on this. Daryl Strawberry was just totally drunk and just saying bad things about Lil Wayne. And this was the point where he just started screaming, "Where Nas at?" When I say started screaming, "Where Nas at?" I mean, he said, I heard the words, "Where Nas at?" more than I heard the word hip hop at this show. Because Daryl Strawberry was pissed. And he was especially pissed that the guy next to me, of the nice couple, and I were talking about how great Lil Wayne was. We were just sitting there like, can you believe how good that was? He was like, that was unbelievable. We were just both. And we can't really hear that well. We're total strangers. He goes to buy a shot, offers to buy me a shot. Totally decent dude. But he almost gets into a fight with Daryl Strawberry because he's going, "Where Nas at? Lil Wayne's garbage." And then that guy next to me just goes, "You bugging," and I'm not like making up. This is actual quotations, okay? I'm not like doing AAVE to like sound like these are actual quotes, okay? So he literally that we almost got into the "Where's Nas at? You bugging" fisticuffs, but it was such an area of love. It was just funny. It was just back and forth. It's like when you're at a baseball game and someone for the opposing team and you just get into it. Like there's no like fist fights, but you're just kind of like goofing around. This was like Team Nas versus Team Lil Wayne. And it made me happy because it's like, man, Nas fans are going to Nas fan. The Escobites are going to Escobite. It doesn't matter how much you love Nas. If you are not constantly saying "Where Nas at?" then you are not a human being who understands and loves hip-hop. Because he was laying into it about how you can't love hip-hop and love Lil Wayne at the same time. Then Ice Cube comes out. Ice Cube, goddamn. I saw him back at the Up in Smoke tour, again back in 2000. Talk about iconic verses, seeing him perform straight out of Compton. It's funny because like he's wearing like a West Coast shirt and he's like doing West Coast like shouts. And it's just weird just thinking about like how real of a thing that was and just how nothing of a thing that is. And then it leads into Snoop Dogg or Snoop Doggy Dogg. He appears to want to be called Snoop Doggy Dogg now. Now he comes out to Minnie the Moocher, which is a song by Cab Calloway. Cab Calloway, born in Rochester, New York. Very cool. Cab Calloway, basically the best and one of the most important jazz singers, one of the most important scat artists. The hidey 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 hey, hidey 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 hey, hody 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 oh, hody oh. Okay, that's Cab Calloway. He was born in Rochester, moved to Baltimore, and attended Frederick Douglass High School. Frederick Douglass was born in Baltimore, moved to Rochester. Weird historical facts. Anyways, they're doing this. DJ Green Lantern is working for him. Totally coincidentally, DJ Green Lantern is from Rochester, weirdly enough. And so they do this intro where you just go, Snoopy doggy doggy dog, Snoop doggy doggy dog. And they do that back and forth. He comes out. They're doing Drop It Like It's Hot, and Dougie Fresh is doing all those weird, like, Pharrell sounds. And I'm, at this point, this is uninspired. I don't know. It's getting a little bit better as it goes on. But, you know, Snoop Dogg, how seriously can you take Snoop Dogg with his Martha Stewart and his Skechers? I got Skechers shoes, Bizzle. Okay, like, really? They got some, like, mobiles, like, they have, like, strip poles on the stage. And, like, god damn. The athleticism. I understand it's supposed to be, like, erotic, but it's more just like, what the hell are they doing? How do human bodies do that? You know, they're doing all the Chronic 2001 songs and Gin and Juice and all that. But then, once again, Snoop came through and crushed the buildings. Snoop Dogg, on this, the 50th anniversary of hip-hop, came to New York City and outshone everybody else with his respect to hip-hop. I was blown away. He starts playing 187 on an Undercover Cop, deep cover, right? His first hit with Dr. Dre on the deep cover soundtrack, and it's 187 on an Undercover Cop. And then he starts mixing in I Shot the Sheriff by Bob Marley. And of course, deep cover is sort of a spiritual continuation of I Shot the Sheriff by Bob Marley. But if you know hip-hop history, you know that I Shot the Sheriff is actually the basis of the song Strictly Business by previously mentioned EPMD. And then he invites EPMD out onto the stage and they do Strictly Business together. Real goosebumps, okay? Because EPMD was on during the day. And during the day, it was only like 3/4 full. Now it's totally full. EPMD is fully getting their shine on. Then he makes a phone call and calls Too Short. And Too Short comes out on the stage and they play Blow the Whistle. And then, seriously, Snoop pulled the most hipster, deep cut, hip-hop historian move he could have possibly pulled off. I could not believe it. He pulls out DJ Hollywood. DJ Hollywood was a DJ from Harlem, okay? By virtue of the fact that he was from Harlem, he's essentially been written out of hip-hop history because everything had to happen in the Bronx. But he would sort of rhyme and talk over his DJ sets in a way which you can have different opinions on it. You can say that Coco Rock was the first MC. You can also say DJ Hollywood is the first MC. And so he brings out DJ Hollywood. And this is not for everybody. Daryl Strawberry, hate to say it, guy loves hip-hop, but when Snoop calls him a hero, he says, we don't know that N-word. He trash. That's what Daryl Strawberry said. I didn't want to walk up to him and say, well, actually, according to a lot of people, he's the real first MC. But this is just the moment that we're in. When I'm talking, we are in the church of hip-hop. We are in the church of hip-hop. I got to see Coco Rock and DJ Hollywood perform on the same day. Then Wiz Khalifa came out, and I hate Wiz Khalifa. I'm sorry. I'm always positive. But they started playing that song, what is it? I'll see you later, I'll see you again. And they put up a big picture of Paul Walker on this. I don't give a shit about Paul Walker. What the hell does Paul Walker have to do with 50 years of hip hop? God damn it. So I just got so mad. Who'd have thought that I was like stung by a bee? But I'm just like, I'm not going to hear this clown just perform a loving tribute to Paul Walker, of all the great dead hip-hop legends. And no one mentioned any of the dead Fat Boys. You make a song about Buffy. Okay. So I get so angry, I walk out, but then Snoop comes back out, and oops, I'm on the other side of the stadium, because I'm walking around, because I'm so mad that Wiz Khalifa is ruining my beautiful moment here. That Snoop says, all right, we got a legend here. We got Dougie Fresh. It's going to be Lottie-Dottie. It's going to be Lottie-Dottie. And Slick Rick's going to come out. They're all going to do Lottie-Dottie because, of course, Snoop Dogg covered Lottie-Dottie back in the 90s. And there we go. And Dougie Fresh starts doing the beat, but no Slick Rick. So, Dougie Fresh, by the way, looks like 15 years younger than me? I don't understand. Dougie Fresh seriously would get carded? I don't understand. He is so vibrant, and maybe it's just beatboxing. Well, actually, that's not true, considering Biz and Buffy are both gone. Anyways, he was amazing. And Snoop is performing and doing all the lines just right, and talk about iconic verses, seeing Dougie Fresh and Snoop there, but the whole time I'm like, why? Does Slick Rick not like Dougie Fresh? Does Slick Rick not love Snoop? Why did this possibly happen? And then we get to the part of the song. It's all because of you. I'm feeling sad and blue. Slick Rick comes out to sing the female part of the song and then takes over at the second half, and they're rapping together, and it's just a beatboxer, and it's just Slick Rick, and it's just Snoop Dogg. Evidence of all. We have 60,000 people all sitting here watching people making music with their mouths. You know what I'm saying? God damn, I love rap music. It's just great. So I go back to the seat. Oh my God. Daryl Strawberry at this point was gone. Nas wasn't even on the thing about this. The crazy ticket is that, like, it kept changing. I didn't even know Nas was going to be performing. Now, mind you, I bought tickets to see Nas at MSG. I gave tickets away when I couldn't go. I talked about it in my last video about Nas. Check it out if you want to. So anyway, the guy, Daryl Strawberry, just lost it. He was just like, Nasty Nas, where Nas at? The greatest to ever do it. Where Nas at? He's the greatest. Lil Wayne, trash. Where Nas at? Just where Nas at over and over again. Then Nas comes out, plays New York State of Mind. Call that another iconic verse. Brings out Cool G Rap, which is very cool. You know, he's doing his own thing of like highlighting hip hop history. And then we get to that like weird thing where like I love Nas, but his popular songs are just whack. Now, it was auto-corrected from Hate Me Now to Mar Me Now, like Bill Maher. So I wouldn't mind a version of Bill Maher singing Hate Me Now. You can hate me now, but vaccinations don't work. But just Hate Me Now is just a weak song. And I'm not saying that. I actually prefer it was written to Illmatic. People hate me for that. I think it was written as a masterpiece of an album, but nothing can be done with the fact that, to me, the beat of Hate Me Now is just whack. It's just not good. And then he plays Uchi Walla Walla, and it's just like, oh, come on, Nas. You just did 5 classic albums, but he has to play the hits. And that's the thing. Why did hip-hop exist? Hip-hop existed because DJ Kool Herc was a DJ, and DJs know you have to play what the people like. You don't play what the hipsters in the back want you to do. You gotta play what gets the people moving. So he figured out, if I play the drum breaks in a loop, the people will dance more. And that's how the whole goddamn thing was created. So don't be a hipster. Just sit there and sing along with, you can Bill Maher me now, but I won't stop now. That's great. Uchi Walla Walla, it's okay. And then he brings out DJ Kool Herc, which is great because a lot of people missed it in the beginning. And then this is where I had to make a hard decision. So it's already 1 o'clock. I told my friend we'd be here from 6 to 10. I woke up and drove 6 hours. I'm picking up my kids from the airport at JFK, and then I have to drive 6 hours back home. How am I going to get out of the Bronx and back to Queens? How do you get an Uber at the end of a 60,000 person show? So I had to make the choice. We had to leave early. Run DMC was going to perform their final concert of all time. And I said we should leave early. Now, I had to wait. I had to see if Nas was going to play Made You Look, one of my top 3 favorite rap songs of all time by any artist. He played Made You Look. Daryl, Mr. Strawberry, and I, we were just get it all. No, yo, it's fine. Nas, yo, every single line, we were rapping together, smiling, the whole thing. I'm like, that's it. That's perfect, and we leave. Now, let me tell you why I did this. I have a couple things. I don't believe in YOLO, you only live once. I believe in YOGU, you only grow old once. When people tell you YOLO, it's usually because they want you to either injure your brain or go into debt. It's much better being old and debt-free with a healthy brain. So I don't believe in YOLO. I also don't believe in FOMO, fear of missing out. I think you need to focus more on FOBO, fear of burning out. Because there's so much to appreciate in life and there's so much to see that sometimes you just have to say it's good enough. I went to the Louvre in Paris. Every time I go to the Louvre in Paris, I pick one of the 3 wings and I leave the other 2 to the next time. Because there's only so much you can appreciate. There's only so much you can take in. I took my wife to her first baseball game. Yankees, Red Sox game in Fenway Park 2 years ago. It was an amazing game. We were down in the 8th inning. I realized we had to get back to our Airbnb. It was already midnight. There was no way we were going to be stuck on the train and she was having a nice time. So I figured better just to leave, Better to have her have a good experience than to finish the game. And we were down by 2 runs anyways. So how good was it going to be? It turns out the bottom of the 10th inning or the 9th inning was a record-breaking game with the most passed balls in baseball history, and the Red Sox won improbably. But I still made the right decision because my wife said, I would like to go back to Fenway Park someday. And she wouldn't have said that if we were stuck on the green line at 2 o'clock in the morning, at 3 o'clock in the morning. So we leave after that. Now, there's a couple reasons why I did this. First of all, going back to the Havoc issue, that's not Run DMC. Run DMC is not Run DMC. Okay? The same way the Grateful Dead is not The Dead. Run DMC is Run DMC and Jam Master Jay. That's who Run DMC is. Their name is Run DMC, but they're 3 people. Jam Master Jay is dead, so I felt weird about that. And I know I'm being a hipster or whatever, right? The other thing is, I saw Run DMC with Jam Master Jay in 2000. They played at my college. And I'm not exaggerating. Nobody was watching. They played on the quad, and people were walking by like it was some rando with a guitar playing No Woman, No Cry. It was one of the most surreal experiences to sit there and see these giants playing their heart out to absolutely nobody. And that was an interesting moment. And that's part of why I love this whole show. That it was this love of hip-hop. And I remember late 90s, early 2000s, the stars of hip-hop in the 90s didn't care about the stars of the 80s. They just let them go. It sort of made sense. The art had to stay relevant, had to stay alive. And now here we were here. But, realistically, my friend was actually sleeping. He was there in the middle of Nas and he was sleeping. And it turns out both my kids probably have COVID. So the drive back was a complete nightmare with the windows open and the raining. And it was just, oh my God, it was the worst. Oh, it was so bad. I needed to be rested. I needed to be safe. So I left. But hey, all I missed was Run DMC, right? Oh yeah, here's another piece of my collection. Look at that. Fresh Festival. From Mississippi, right? Yeah, Thursday State Fair. Super wild. From Jackson, Mississippi. Run DMC before they changed their logo. Fat Boys, Houdini. Plus you got Grandmaster Flash. And look at that. Jermaine Dupri. He was 13 years old when he did that. I knew it wasn't going to be the Fresh Festival. I knew it was going to be something else. So, I didn't miss anything big. What? Who came out? After Made You Look? Who came out on stage and did a set? Lauryn Hill? Lauryn Hill? I missed Lauryn Hill. I missed Lauryn Hill because I didn't want to have to wait to find an Uber at 2 a.m. I am the biggest idiot, in case you ever wondered it. I can handle missing Run DMC. I've already seen them perform, but Lauryn Hill doesn't perform. Oh my God. So anyways, that's my show. I didn't see Lauryn Hill. I watched the performance on YouTube. It looks like it would have been great. But there it is. I haven't given shout outs to my Patreons in a while. They gave me money so that I could buy music and support music. So there they are. You gotta check them all out. Maybe your name's on there. If your name's on there, thank you so much. If your name's not on there, you can go to patreon.com/Professor Sky. There's the t-shirt. You would have bought the t-shirt for me because I bought them the tickets. It was a great show. Long live hip hop. Yeah. I don't believe in FOMO. Says the asshole who missed Lauryn Hill. How was I supposed to know? She wasn't on the bill. Okay. There's the camera.